I've got a few changes for the other elements that are going to assemble these pieces in front of our photo. So let's set up the flower. We're going to use these three pieces to create a flower that's going to be dropped right into our photograph just by modifying some properties just like we've done on the photo. I'll add a little comment so we make sure we know what we're doing later. Remember, our comment is anything that starts with 2 slashes in this case. We'll go down to the next line and let's set up the 3 pieces of our flower. Our flower is going to be composed of this graphic here, which is our green square. I'm just going to squish the width of that to make it a tall, skinny rectangle, and it'll form the flower's stem. I'll use MC square so I have access to the object. I'll change its width so that it's squished down into a very skinny, tall square. So I'll just access the underscore width property, and let's set it equal to, let's say, 10 pixels. I'll also move it down. Right now it's currently hanging out there on top of the stage, and I'll just change the Y value to push it down the stage. We'll add another line for that property, MC square underscore Y, and we'll set that to about 215. Now notice when you start moving things around on the stage like this, you're going to need to get comfortable with the coordinate system of the stage itself. 0, 0 is our top corner. Our X values are all going to go up as we move from the left to the right of the screen. That's also going to be the 0 location for our Y coordinate, and the Y values will go up as you approach the bottom of the screen. Now that sounds a little counterintuitive, but that's the way almost all of our screen systems are working. Let's try out our flower stem. I'll hit Control Enter, and you can see that that green square has been moved down. This is about our 215Y location. And we've changed the width so it's a very skinny little stick now instead of a big square as it was before. Now let me close these two up, because what I'd like to do for the flower petals and the center is let's do a little bit of both of what we've done so far. We can read off the values of one item. We can set the values of another item. I can do both in one statement just like this. I'm going to take the flower, MC flower. I'd like to take its X coordinate. That's where it's positioned horizontally on the screen. And I'd like to set it in the same position that the green square is already been placed on the screen. So what I can do is I can set their 2 X components equal to each other. I'll set it equal to MC square, and I'll make sure I put in dot underscore X. So I'm going to put the flower in the same X location as the square. Now while we're at it, let's go ahead and change the Y location as well, and we should put the flower right on top of the square. MC flower dot underscore Y, and we'll set it equal to MC square dot underscore Y. Let's try that out. Control Enter or Command Enter on the Mac, and now you can see that the flower's been pulled off screen, right down, and it's sitting right on top of the coordinate location that we have the square sitting at. Now remember, we set the flowers so that it was center registered, so the 0 point of the flower is actually sitting on the upper left-hand point of the square. You can see you're probably going to be much more aware of the registration points of your elements, and if I close these 2 windows up, you can always reference that location by the location of the crosshair on the graphics themselves. Let's drop the dot in the center, and we'll do the same thing. Now that one was called MC circle, so I'm going to set it at the same location as the flower, so we'll do the X and Y coordinates just as we did before. Now to save ourselves a little bit of typing, I'm simply going to select those 2 lines and copy them. We can use copy and paste directly anytime we want to in the ActionScript window. Now you can use either Control-C and Control-V or Command-C and Command-V. You can use the Edit panel, or you can right-click or context-click and you get copy and paste right here. So you can use any of those methods that you're comfortable with. Since I have this one up, I'm just going to choose Copy, and I'll right-click once again and choose Paste. Now I've got 2 copies of the flower set to this square, and I'll simply change the flower here to the circle. Now that dot's a little bit big. It'll cover up the entire flower. So while we're at it, I think what I'd also like to do is just set the properties of the width and height of the circle independently. We'll do MC circle dot underscore width, and let's set that to somewhere around 25, I think. And we'll do the same thing for the height. Now let's see what we've got so far. Control Enter or Command Enter, and we've pulled the circle in, set it right on top of the flower, and resized it so that it's fitting right in the middle. Now we can finish up our little artwork here by adding the cloud into it. And we've already given that a name of MC Cloud. So let's just do a quickie thing here where we bring the cloud in. Once again, it's a nice idea to think of comments and to pop them in whenever you're changing subjects. It'll leave notes to yourself, and surprising as this may seem, these notes can come in handy much later on if you open up this file trying to figure out what you were doing at that point or what your goal was of the script itself. So I'll just put in here, set up the cloud. And we're going to do that by moving it into position and using the alpha property to set a little transparency on it. I'll do that just like before. We'll call it by name, MC Cloud. We'll set up its X and Y properties. And remember, that's _X. And I think I'll use about 90 pixels for that. And our Y property is _Y. And we'll set that up to about 25 pixels. That'll be the upper left-hand corner of it. And something we haven't done on our other elements is we'll give this a little transparency by using the alpha property, mccloud._alpha. And we'll set that equal to about 75, and let's see what we've got. I'll hit Control-Enter, and we'll see we've got our cloud brought in. It's positioned right where we wanted it to, 90 pixels from the left, 25 pixels from the top, and we can see that we've got that little transparency dropped in here.